Welcome back to the Sound for More channel. Wow, today I have the pleasure to introduce you to Groove Rider 2 from JimAudio. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it helps with growing the channel. Thank you very much. Well, I'm so delighted to actually start a new series of tutorials for Groove Rider 2. It's a fantastic app, a long-awaited app. I'm sure many will say that, but it is finally here. I previously recorded a series of tutorials on Groove Rider, so this is the start for a new series for version 2, and it is truly amazing. So this first video is just an introduction, getting started and getting used to the way it looks, the interface, because there are lots and lots of changes. Indeed, Groove Rider 2 has actually got way better than what compared to the previous version, for sure. So let's start to go through it. Now, you might have this screen when you first launch it. It might be slightly different depending on the menu that you have selected down here, the pattern that you have loaded, etc, etc. However, let's go through the basics. So starting up here, let's ensure that you are on sound, and actually before starting, let's ensure that you are on the default pattern. If you're not, click where it says here the name of the pattern, and it gets you onto the screen where you can choose the banks. So a default bank, a bank A, and I'm sure there will be others. The bank A is for factory, and then you have a number of patterns. Okay, and let's select the default pattern. Of course, you can create new ones here as well. Now, in terms of the parameters for the pattern, you can set the tempo, the measure, the length in bars, the swinging percentage, the key, and the scale. Really good, and also chord set as well. You can save as a pattern, so if you want to create a new one based on the current one, you can delete and rename it. So when you finish selecting a pattern, of course, you click outside, or if you're loading another one, click on that one and then click open. Okay, at the moment I'm on default pattern, so I don't have to open it, so I click outside. Okay, next we ensure that we are here on this view called sound. Now, if you recall from the previous version, you had different parts up to 16. So at the bottom here you have a representation of which changes based on the menu that you select here. At the moment we are on trigger, and you can see it is part number 1 with arrow to the left and to the right to move to the previous or to the right or the next part. There are 16 parts as before. The polyphony has been enhanced. There's a lot of other things which have been enhanced in terms of length, clips, etc. There's a lot more, much more powerful, much more scalable than the previous version. So down here we are on trigger, so you can click, of course, on the trigger. Now, what you can see here as well is the first one corresponds to part 1, the second one corresponds to the part 2, and you can see you have loaded on part 2 here JimAudio Pure Acid, and that's another big thing, the inclusion of course, Pure Acid, but not only. You will see that there is a lot more. There is synth, as you can see here. Click on edit, you can see the synth here. You can go to part, you can see a synth again, a sampler, okay, soul lead, an arpeggiato, okay, a soul bass, etc. And of course we also have still a mixer view, so go up here where it says mixer, and then you see your typical mixer view where you can change your pan, your effects A and B, solo and mute for each part, and then of course the gain here. But then at the bottom you can also see the representation of all the different parts. You can clearly see straight away that this one, for example, is Pure Acid because of the icon. You can see where samplers are being used as well. Okay, so that's really, really good. But let's go back to sound. And let's set it again to part number 1. Then you can go mute to mute different parts. Okay, erase the same. Of course, the trigger we've just seen in the steps, which is similar to what we had before, but we'll go into all of those in upcoming tutorial. Keys, which not only give you the pad representation, but if you click on keys again, you also have the keyboard representation. Let's move to a different part. And of course you have chords. And jump as we had before with the number of bars. You can set the cursor to move alongside, etc, etc. And the shift button, which we also had previously in Groove Rider. Now here you have an arrow pointing down. Click on it, it will reveal more on the screen. Click again and it will reveal even more, and then you click this one going up and it restores that. I really, really love that. Okay, so that's really nice. Okay, so let's go here where it says default pattern, and let's click new. It will ask you a blank init pattern, will be created. Perfect, that's what I want, and I click yes. Now, so we are on part number 1, and again, this is just an introductory tutorial, so I'm not going to explain anything. We are on everything, sorry. And so we are again on sound as a view. So here you have part 1, click on it, and here you have access to the type of part, which is melodic, drum, rack, pure acid, drum, your label, your default note, very important, similar to the velocity. If you want the velocity on pads, time shifting, mute groups, really important. But then again, you have access to your to an arpeggiator as well, which is absolutely great, including setting for grooves, the active parameter set, and the part color. Really, really good. A lot of different options here. Then you see this concept of layer. At the moment it says layer number 1, but you can add additional layers. So you can make the sound really, really, really thick. And when you have one layer selected, then you of course have the parameters underneath, which will show you what you have available. In this case, we have an oscillator on the bottom, on the left side. Click on edit, and then in the middle you have the visual of all the different parameters for that particular synth. Again, we go those through another time. Click on edit again to exit that view, and then you have different parameters for your oscillator, for your filter, for your envelope, for the LFO, for your mix, pan left and right. Okay. But you could click on the plus sign, click and hold, and then you can add another synth, a sampler, a wavetable, an SF2 sound font, really good. The pure acid bass, again, if you have that available, if you used that before, I definitely recommend it. Also Poison 202, great. A new drum track, a new pure acid drums, and oh yes, an AUv3 layer, but also a MIDI effect layer. Absolutely fantastic. So many different options, right? Now, and if I click and show you that, for example, for a sampler, there you go. And when you click on edit, you go into the sampler view, okay, which I will explain in an upcoming tutorial. You can solo that, of course. Now, in the middle, you have some visuals, which you can change. Now, if you click here where it says visual, at the moment it shows you the spectrum on the top and a stereo image at the bottom. Okay, click outside. You can see that the stereo, if you move here the pan on the output to the left, to the right, so you can see it is moving. Double click, of course, to reset it. But you could also have a part meter as well. So you see the part here playing with this vertical bar. And then underneath you can have an oscillogram instead of a stereo image. So that's great. A lot of different options that you can use. Is really nice. And then here you can insert effects. Okay, and here you can decide also the, in this case, layer 2, because that is what they selected, routing into your insert effect 1, 2, 3. 3 of them, great, absolutely great. And other parameters, which of course we're going to go through in the upcoming tutorials. And you can run in a series and parallelize, mix them up. Oh, a lot of different options. And of course, if you click here as well, you have further option here, and you can insert also additional effects here. So for example, if I want to say I want a chorus there it is a chorus, and of course I can change the settings here, or if I click here I can go for an XY part here to where I can change the different values which are assigned to it. Again, I will show you that in upcoming tutorial, but you can keep adding, of course, different insert effects, okay, as you prefer. And then, of course, you have an equalizer here in the final output, so equalizer high, mid, and low, and then the final output, which you can select where it's going to, the master effect 1, 2, 3, or the master, okay, and then you can adjust the level, the pan, descent A and B level as well. Well, so there is really a lot here. So stop from playing, here to play, okay, record as well. Then you can browse here as well for your user files, which is absolutely fantastic. Undo, redo, and then, as I mentioned here, a selection of patterns. So let's load one. So let's load, why not this one? And then let's click open. Okay, as you can see, also the loading is incredibly fast. Now let's click play. Now, this has not only a view of your pattern, so you click on edit and you see your pattern, and you have a lot of different options here, which is now called clip, by the way, and which we'll go through all of those in an upcoming tutorial. But you also have a song mode. There it is, and this is like a sequencer, so way better than what we had before. And you can see the song mode is activated. Fantastic. Okay, going to stop here. You can see you have a selection for automation there as well. Here you have all your different parts where you can solo or mute them, and here you have all the position of your all clips arranged in a song where you can set loops. You can go to the menus where you can copy, paste, duplicate, etc., etc. You can have option for grades, and of course you can enable and disable your song mode. Lots and lots on. Now, for each part that you have selected, of course, and each clip, you can go in edit mode as well if you want to edit that different part. Now, let's go, for example, back to the default pattern. This one doesn't have a song, as you can see. It doesn't have a song mode on. If you go on edit, you can see we are editing that particular pattern, and that gives you a visual as well of that pattern and how it works. Now, I really love this default pattern because it's very simple to follow in terms of a tutorial. You also have a clips view where you can arrange for clips to actually kick off, right? And it's fantastic. You can change individuals clip to play or stop, etc. Go to the next one, things like that. You can activate them from play, etc. You can activate them here on the right hand side to play as a scene. So these are your scene vertically. So that is amazing. This app has so many different features. It's unbelievable. Click and hold. You can edit that clip, copy the clip, delete it, copy and paste, etc., etc. You also have option here. If you click on this cog and click here, you can then set it to stop, go to the previous clip, the next clip, etc., etc. We'll go through those in an upcoming tutorial. You can see you can mute and solo each one individually. You can also have a selection tool on by where you can click and hold and then select a multiple clip to do things on multiple clips. Okay, so that is really, really good. Now, then you have FX buses as well, which is great. So you can set it to go to your effect A, return, effects B, return, and then for each one you can activate a different one. You click here where it says the name of the effect, and then you choose the one you want, like for example church verb, a reverb, a room verb, an equalizer, an exciter, a filter, an AUv3 effect, etc., etc. You can go for a shimmer and so on and so forth. And here you can solo. Here you can actually set it to return to the master effect 1, 2, 3 to the master, and the same option here for effect B, return, and then you have the master effect here, but where again you can you have here your XY part, which you can change. You can set it also to hold, and here you can set it again to run in parallel and serials or a mix of them, and then you can see the routing through the different arrows, right, which goes finally onto additional effects here, which is your master bus, which again you can still change what you want in there. For example, you might want an equalizer, you want a maximizer, you might want a compressor or decimator or ducking or slicer or overdrive, etc., etc. So it's amazing. And here, click on here again, you can go then use your XY pad for through all the different effects, which is again simply fantastic. Okay, and here you still have your view of your output, and of course you can still change down here the different parts. Okay, and make and go to different parts as you need. So there is really, really a lot to go through. Now, click on the menu here, typical menu as it was before. So you have your general settings for clips, for recording, if you want quantization, metronome, right? You go here, you go to your mute settings, render preview, fantastic, keyboard style, which one you want, okay. Frame per second limit in hertz, really, really good. And then you have your audio settings, of course, depending on your device. You can export, and then you have the MIDI section as well. You can see I have connected an external MIDI controller to it, but you can also have a virtual MIDI input as well, and of course Bluetooth MIDI devices, and how you control also MIDI CC, when you can do MIDI learn, of course, and you can reset MIDI learn. So there is so much to cover. You know, it's truly, truly fantastic. I'm going to leave you with, again, another pattern here, which I have loaded in song mode. Let's listen to that, and then I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thank you very much.